Colts, and more Colts with me and him.
Let's go.
I got to ask you. So yesterday Ballard spoke. Give me your overview on what you thought.
I thought it was creepy. I don't use that word lightly, but I thought it was. What
was creepy?
I love Tony Brown. I want to say it so you can hear it or whatever he said.
Yeah.
I love what does that even mean?
I
don't know what he's talking about.
It means nothing.
And then the whole thing about Jonathan Taylor at the end, the 4 wins. And then he got up and walked away, and I was struck. I thought maybe that question was a plant. Because they said last question, and I thought that was kind of the mic drop moment. I didn't know. I try not to think that way. I try not to think they're that contrived. But, man,
Who asked
thought
the
it was
question?
I can't even remember. And I couldn't recognize it when I listened back to it. But it was a follow-up because he was talking about how you pay great players and how they had no problem paying Quentin Nelson as a guard. And then he said, but others have too. It's not that weird to pay a guard. And then what is it about Jonathan Taylor? Isn't he a great player? 4-12. 4 wins. Only won 4. So
Quentin Nelson, what's he won?
Yeah,
Seriously, what's he won?
Yeah, he had gone 9-8.
Okay, 9-8.
And then with Leonard, it was the 10-6 year where they went to the playoffs.
No, it was not.
Yeah, it was 21. It was after the 20 season where they went 10-6.
That was Phillip Rivers' year?
Yeah.
All right, my sense is this, Ken, and it's interesting that he brought that up. My thing is, wait a second now. You've seen this. It was always about relationships, never about winning. Now all of a sudden, 7 years in, it's about accountability and 4 wins. Now 7 years
in that one little snippet,
that's the
rest
biggest.
Of it was all about relationships. We've got to repair the relate. How the hell? What are you talking about?
Why
you
is it
write
bad?
the man a check or you don't.
That's it.
It's it.
Thank you.
Right.
That's it.
Yep.
You're either going to pay this man and the relationship will be fine, or you don't pay this man and the relationship is going to be what it is. That's it.
There's no relationship between Jonathan Taylor and his general manager.
No.
There may be the other way. Maybe Chris Ballard just likes to be liked. That's weakness in a manager. I do not like that at all.
I think Chris Ballard is a survivor. Holder asked him a question about the franchise tag. And Holder said something like, well, I don't know if this is true or not, but did you take the franchise tag off and Jonathan would have come in? And Ballard started the answer giving the answer. He said that was never discussed. And then the Ballard moment of survivor came. And he started talking about how I've never lied to these guys. And it was it was half, if you're going to use this phone, it was half infomercial, half answer of the question, and then half infomercial on Ballard and his character. It's so typical that frickin' Ballard. That's what he does. People buy it. And I saw a couple of the blogger boys, stand-up guy for his players. You dumbasses. No. He's just promoting himself. It's what he does better than anybody. And of course, Holder, I don't know if this is true. What? Jesus.
You, as a manager, you're paid to be deceitful now and again. You've got
certainly to the media.
Well, yeah. But to your staff.
Oh, okay.
If you're, this happened to me. When I was the program director, you get together, you decide what the budget's going to be. The budget's going to be X. It's more than what you've got budgeted. You've got to eliminate 4 people. So you figure out where you're going to get that money, and it's the 4 people who've got to go.
Yeah.
And then you get with HR, and they say, okay, we're going to do this across the company on, let's say, September 30th. So that's a day we're whacking. And it'll be across the company. We don't do it piecemeal. So for the next 4 weeks, 6 weeks, you're walking down the hall saying, hey, you okay? You good?
Yeah.
You know you're whacking a guy.
Yeah.
That's deceit. That's dishonesty.
Yeah.
You can't not be deceitful on some level. So to come out as this pious, beacon of honesty and truth and whatnot, you can't love your staff. You can respect your staff. You need to engage respect from them. Love is something entirely different, and love is destructive.
Right.
Respect is a positive.
All right, let me go to a management side of this.
Yeah.
He says the relationship is fractured, but it's not irreparable.
Yeah.
Let me ask you this. Okay, let's take him at his word. Let's say that is the relationship. All right, it's not money that solves it. Let's just take him for what he's trying to say. All right.
Yeah.
Who's responsible for fucking up the relationship?
Yeah. That's a great question.
I'm sitting there going, you're all about relationships. You're going to solve the relationship. Who effed up? Now, you can tell me it's Jimmy Irsay, fine.
It's not the 24-year-old.
No.
Because the
he just
24-year-old cannot be in charge of a relationship.
No, right. He's got bosses. The employee can, I guess, swing the relationship by being a jackass. He can swing the relationship by being a great guy. You can swing it, but you're not in charge of it.
Then goodbye.
Right.
Adios.
Everything's easy in that. If it's this or that, it's easy. Right now you've got, all right, money. So money dictates, I want more here. I want to do what's right by us here. That's a fraction. It isn't going to be, so for you Colts fans out there, it isn't going to be that Chris Ballard kumbaya creepy voice that's going to, smooth this relationship. No. It ain't going to be that.
No.
But Ballard is responsible. In his words, he did the PowerPoint about, and you've talked about it. You said this Ballard thing about relationships and everything else is like a grand experiment.
Yeah.
You've talked about that on your show.
Right.
I've seen it.
Yeah.
Well, okay.
It's got to stand for something else. If the winning doesn't, and I've said this, if the winning doesn't validate some kind of philosophical bent, what value is the winning?
What value is the philosophical vent? Because the only thing that matters in NFL football, we've seen teams can't go from worst out of the playoffs to in the Super Bowl. We've seen it a lot. And this is consistently horse bleep here. We're talking about 10-6. Look, I get it. Luck quit. Fine. That was years ago. But damn.
Let me ask you this.
Yes.
If it takes lying to win, do you lie?
I lie. This Dan Dockage? This Dan Doggett, I'd carry a bag. I'd have an academic coordinator with a damn notary public in her front desk. I'd be stamping transcripts. Are you shitting me? I've learned.
Because you either win or you get fired. Except for Ballard, who covets the love.
Oh,
and
if you
Tony Brown. I love Tony Brown. I love Tony Brown. It's like Tom Cruise on Oprah with Katie Holmes. What's he doing?
Get on a chair.
What?
Get on a chair. Can I ask you, who's Tony Brown?
Number 38. I think
the defensive back.
Sergio Brown.
I remember Sergio Brown. All right, I'm going to read this, and I want your response to this because our show among NFL people is really gaining traction.
Good.
It is.
It should. By the way, subscribe to this show and like the video because it's the polite thing to do.
We need 90 subscriptions to get to 4,000. We need 100. No, we need 1,090 to get to 5,000. This should be done today.
We're so close.
Both of them. All right, I got this today.
Yeah.
All right, I got this today, and I want your reaction for this. I'm not a big Jim Irsay fan for a lot of reasons I can't talk about. But Grigson never threw the owner under the bus like Ballard is. He's playing the victim.
Yeah.
Because now you see, this is from a guy that has never been with the Colts. This guy I've known 100 years. I've never said his name, but I get all my information from him because he's in the NFL in the front office, and he's a big Colts fan growing up. And he's like, Dan, this is what they're talking about in the NFL. That Ballard, and I don't understand this. Ballard is playing victim, throwing Irsay under the bus. The media is following suit and supporting, and then this guy says bullshit. The owner supported you in year 8. You haven't won shit. You got a flawed roster, 0 leadership, 6 or 7 quarterbacks. He goes, Dan, I don't know how many they've had. Do you think Ballard somehow, some way is playing the victim? Do you think Ballard somehow, some way is throwing Irsay under the bus by being a victim?
I think by saying that he's the guy who can repair the relationship, I think he's taking that
he's setting
kind of that
himself up.
high ground. He's the guy who's going to fix this. And by saying that, he's saying, I'm the guy who has to fix this because he busted it.
Because he busted it, meaning Irsay. See, that's what's being said. Mike Florio, this was all in reference to a Mike Florio article today where it said Irsay is pulling the strings on this. And it goes through, if you read it between the lines, it goes through how Ballard has been neutered. And you and I have talked about this. There's no question Ballard's been neutered. I'm not saying he should or shouldn't be, but if I'm Jimmy Irsay and I'm sticking with him, I want more say, because one thing we can say about Jimmy Irsay, he has great pride in this organization. Great pride.
Yeah.
So I don't know if Ballard is, and I'm not smart enough, but then I did read the article that the guy referenced, and I'm like, yeah, I can see. I can see.
It's really interesting what Ballard does in these media availabilities. He is either cantankerous or cloying. He's one or the other. And yesterday, he kind of tried to be both. He was mostly cloying. And, I'm such a good guy. I'm an honest guy. I love my players, all this crap. And then at the end, it was 4 wins, 4 wins.
Yeah.
Like, he couldn't take his own bullshit anymore. It's like, I got to say something that's honest. 4 wins. And off he ran,
That's the line of the year. He couldn't take his own bullshit. You know what? I'm bullshitting you all so much, I can't take me anymore. I'm sorry, Ken.
I got to say something honest for the love of God.
I want to get to something else.
Yeah.
Because this struck me. Again, Holder's question, franchise tag. The question was, if you remove the franchise tag, would Taylor come in?
Right.
That means to me, he's already there. That means would he practice? Ballard didn't say, look, he's hurt. He's not practicing anyway. Ballard didn't say that. That led me to believe that Taylor ain't hurt.
Right.
This is a whiny ass, I'm going to say, you can disagree, whiny ass little professional football player that's got his feelings hurt, so I'm not playing. That's what I read into it.
It told me 2 things. Number one, Holder is pretty plugged in. He's talking to people, and he knows that if Jonathan Taylor, if they pulled their right to tag him next year, that he'd come in.
Come in meaning practice. The other stuff,
he'd come in to
practice.
play. He'd put on.
He wouldn't be on pup.
No.
That's what I'm saying.
No. And that's what he needs from another team. He needed that extension, so he's covered financially beyond this $4.3 million. And it says to me that number one, Holder knows, and number 2, that Ballard is.
See, I'm going to tell you something.
Yeah.
I think Ballard gave that to Holder.
Oh.
And I think that question was asked so that Ballard could go on. And Holder didn't understand why he was asking the question other than that he knows. And then Ballard can go on a little rant about himself. I'm telling you, there is nobody. And again, the same guy said, hey, Dan, do you know who our owner is? I go, no. He goes, of course, you're never going to know our owner. No, nobody knows our owner. Our owner is only known when somebody talks about him because it's football people making football calls. I think Ballard knew that. I think he gave it to Holder, and I think that the question was asked absolutely. You ever hear the phrasing? He doth protest too much.
Yeah.
Well, I don't know if this is true or not. Well, he knows it's true because I believe Ballard gave it.
He prefaces his questions a lot. Yeah,
well,
I think this is either he got that from the agent. This is my guess.
All right.
And sometimes these guys talk about this stuff. Like in the media room, they'll talk about where they got stuff.
Yeah.
Not questions. But I talked to this guy, or Irsay called me at 2 a.m. and said this. But he's pretty plugged in down in South Florida, and he knows the Miami people. And it may have come from the Miami people who said that that's what they got from Taylor's camp, that in order to do the deal, you have to deny your ability to franchise. That's my guess.
Well, I mean, it makes sense, but I'm not, that would be an easy question to ask because that seems to be the hang-up, right? Because Taylor can go make, he can make 12 million as a franchise player right now. I mean, not right now, but next year and the year after. But
if you, like, he needs an extension.
No, right. He needs 4 or 5 years.
4.3 into something else, and then take that franchise tag possibility away, and don't make it so if he tears his ACL, he turns into Marlon Mack.
Right. One of the interesting things about Taylor is Taylor again, you and I talk about this every week, and I can't get over this. This is a guy that when he got hurt last year, all the media talked about he had missed practice in 7th grade. And now he's petulant, apparently petulant. Maybe it's his agent. Maybe he's just a good businessman. Maybe good businessmen are petulant. Whatever. He ain't playing. Kent, let me ask you a question, because I've been saying this, and I want your common sense. We saw it with Luck. We saw it with Manning. We saw it with Doyle. We saw it with Willis. We saw it with Rivers. Didn't want to come back. We saw it with Gilmore. Costanzo. Am I overselling that there's something bigger going on with this operation in the Colts? The guys are like, hey, fuck it, I ain't playing.
I don't think you're overselling it. I don't know that there's any common thread other than that these guys don't want to live their 50s with like artificial hips, knees, and have trouble playing with their kids. I don't know which. I think that maybe the Colts, through like sifting through character issues, they found a bunch of really smart guys who understand that football's a job where there is going to be a payment down the road. There's a tariff. I think that there could be that. I don't know, because they're all screwy. All these organizations are screwy.
That's the thing.
I mean, the Bears are broken. The Lions are broken. They're all goofy.
Yeah, I don't. Again, I always usually preface it. I didn't this time by saying, hey, I don't know what other organizations do because I don't follow them as closely.
Right.
Yeah, so, and we did talk about that before, but it just hits me. The only parallel, I guess, would be with Peyton's neck, Luck's whatever, soft tissue ankle, calf, whatever the hell that thing was, and then now, what's wrong with Jonathan Taylor? Because Chappie put out there it was his back, and Taylor said, no, you got to get better sources. People still believe it's his
Somebody
back.
gave that to Chappie knows that.
No
because
question.
I know the links that Chap goes to
Yes.
to validate sources and information.
Chappie takes that very seriously, more serious than anybody. So let me ask you this. What has to happen between now and, well, I guess it's 5 weeks because we got a week till the season and then we got 4 NFL weeks. What happens? Oh, let me put this. What has to happen so in week 5, Jonathan Taylor is behind center Anthony Richardson, whatever. What has to happen?
I think you've got to get a special blend of tobacco and put it in some kind of a pipe device, and he and Ballard can get together. And
peace pipe?
Yeah, exactly.
Wow.
I think there's got to be some kind of a, maybe some hallucinogenics with a guide, and they're going to,
What's the modern day peace pipe? Smoke a little weed, drink a bourbon, what, you know what I mean? Like, Joe Rogan sits there and he does his podcast.
I think so. I think that's
what do you
it.
think
Maybe they go on with Joe Rogan.
Yeah.
Come on over here. We'll take care of this. We'll put Ballard over here, Taylor over here. We'll find common ground, and we'll put you back together. The healing can begin, but only with Dan and Ken.
If you put at that bar right there at my house, Ballard, Jonathan Taylor, I'll let Jonathan Taylor bring his agent, and I'll let Ballard bring one of the legends, Morocco Brown or Ed Dobbs or whoever the frick these guys are. And you and I stood behind the bar, and we just started pouring drinks. Jonathan, what do you like? And don't give me that crap, you like orange juice. No. We're going to put vodka out. We're going to put, okay, let's go. Let's get this settled. And contracts are under the table. We'd have those things solved.
Absolutely. You might not be able to read the signature, but that's okay.
We would film the whole thing and then get rid of everything.
You'd have your notary right there. Julie's a notary. We could have Julie come over. She'll take care of that.
What has to, see, to me, like, I try to look at things and I call it looking beyond your dick. I try to look beyond your dick. Now, whether or not that's suitable for kids, I don't know. But let's say nose. Looking beyond your nose, like, I don't see an end here unless the Colts give this guy his money.
Right.
Do you think
that's
so?
What Taylor wants. Taylor's not here to make friends with a 50-year-old general manager.
But you think Taylor would sit out the year?
No, because then he's got to come back at the 4.3. Nothing
I'm just
changes.
saying, though. So I think he doesn't sit out the year. If I were his agent, I'd be like, it didn't work out for Le'Veon Bell.
He should call Le'Veon Bell and say, Le'Veon, what should I do? And he'd say, come back to the Colts right now.
That's what I'm saying. He gets paid these 4 on pup. All right. Hey, other thing.
Unless somebody loses a running back who's got championship aspirations and they're like, you know what?
We'll give in.
This is our time. You talked like the Rams. What the Rams did with Stafford, you get somebody who's, and hey, the Rams are not a bad port in a storm for Jonathan Taylor, maybe Kevin Demoff or Les Snead pick up the phone and say, hey, look, we'll figure it out. We don't have a lot of ones, but what do you need?
Let me shift a minute. Wide receiver room.
Yeah.
Michael Strawn, gone but back.
Yeah.
Isaiah, or whatever the hell his name is, McKenzie, gone but back. All right, here's what I say about that. Well, I saw a guy say it was great that they got McKenzie back. He's really going to help. No one else in the league wanted him. Don't people know I'm banging my head against your shoulder because I don't want to knock pictures down? Don't people know that if they come back to the practice squad, nobody had value for them on a 53-man?
But they did. With McKenzie, they had a conversation. They released him, and he knew he was coming back. And he was coming back same terms.
But why?
And it was no big deal.
If he's not good enough for the 53-man, so is he going to be on the 53-man roster?
Yeah, McKenzie is.
He will.
Strawn's not.
Okay,
yeah.
All right.
So that was roster mechanics. That's what Ballard called it yesterday.
All right, so roster. They never rostered mechanic T.Y. Hilton, other than IR.
Right.
They never rostered mechanic Reggie Wayne. I mean, if you're good enough, we're not good enough. If you're good enough, we ain't roster mechanicing you.
No.
We must. Well, it's great that he's back. Really, you had to roster mechanic the guy.
But you make a really good point too. In that, they got 2 slot receivers, they got 2 outside receivers. If Pierce or Pittman go down, I don't know I guess they could activate Strawn or somebody. But you happy doing that? Those guys, they went through the waiver process and wound up on the practice squad. Nobody wanted them. This is a team and a roster that is almost utterly bereft of talent. That is really, really bad. You look at good teams. They have talented players.
Oh, really?
I'm no genius.
No.
But
you are a genius. Because you said it before anybody. When people are excited about some free agent signing, you're like, yeah, Ballard's great at the bottom 53.
Right.
Or 52 to 54, whatever the hell it is. Look.
Top of the roster is without dynamic influence over a game.
Oh, God.
That's fair.
And you got a rookie quarterback. I would argue, people say, well, great situation for Anthony Richardson. I will say, yes, great situation because you get to be a starting quarterback in the NFL, and there's only 32 of those jobs. Horse bleep situation for who am I throwing to? Who am I running the ball with?
Yeah.
Deion Jackson, let's go, baby. Josh Downs, I hope you're good. Zach Pierce or Alec Pierce, whatever. I keep saying Zach.
Great situation for Downs.
Great.
Downs is in the money situation.
Yes, he is.
That cat can flat play on this team right now.
And great situation for Alec Pierce. I mean, he's a starter.
Well, he's either going to show himself to be a quality receiver or complete garbage. One or the other is going to be true by the end of the season. Either he can get open and catch the football, or he can't. We're going to see it.
Which is a great situation because, in my mind, what you want is a player's mentality. I want to play. You put me out there, I'm going to kick their ass. You do this, I'm going to kick the living shit out of them. I don't want to hear about it. You know what? Let's go. And when you're sitting and you're looking at the weapons, again, what are you doing? What are you doing? You don't have a weapon.
No.
There's not one weapon. Hey, look, Alec Pierce may have a great year. And I guess the beauty is nobody gets double teamed. So you can get open, I suppose. I don't know. But my God.
Yeah.
And it's malpractice. It's literally malpractice to get a rookie quarterback out there and not give him a weapon or two.
Yeah.
Now, this year they tried. Okay. But how many years has this gone on? Why do the Titans sign frickin' DeAndre Hopkins? Why do people do these things years and years, year after year after year? You just use the first-round pick when you're the Titans for a wide receiver after screwing the A.J. Brown thing up, and then you add to it by bringing in the best wide receiver free agent. Colts never do that shit under this regime. Never.
Right. He is safety first, right? Chris Ballard does not make a free agency mistake because he doesn't play in free agency. If you never come to the plate,
you don't strike out.
Right. Exactly. You don't hit. He's not a home run hitter. He's not a strikeout guy. He's a guy at the NBA at the end of the bench saying, "Yay, raw, go."
Did anybody surprise you that got cut?
Yeah. Darius Rush surprised me.
He got picked up,
that
right?
coming. He did.
There's got to be a backstory. There's got to be a backstory.
I thought something went wrong. There was some kind of behavior in camp or something went haywire because he doesn't do that. He cut, who was it, Zach Bonner and Sean Davis as draft picks. But generally, those guys get a pass. You get to prove yourself. And he didn't do it. He kept Tony Brown.
I love Tony Brown.
I love him. Tony Brown. Yeah. I'm the Tony Brown's biggest fan. And he may be the best guy in the history of people.
Yeah, he
Could
might
be. But he's not the best football player in the history of people.
It doesn't matter. We're about relationships.
We're about love.
Yeah, that's my thing. Like, I'm looking at this, and people always say, well, we're going to get 8 new draft choices in here, and they're going to be great. They're going to uplift the team. So let me ask you. You got the Brent's kid, you got Downs, you got the quarterback, there's others. Is there anybody, Hall, the running back, is in here.
Yeah.
Is there anybody, because draft night, that's what they said, an infusion of speed and real talent is what everybody told me. Now we're through, now we've got a roster. Has there been an infusion of speed and real talent?
Richardson's real talent.
Real talent. Downs.
Brent's, you got to figure out he missed everything with a broken wrist, but that's what the Colts do. This is more potential cover, and if you want to be a conspiracy theorist, they draft people who are broken.
Dio.
It happens almost every year. They spend a late second or something like that on a guy who's broken a little bit, and they can say at the end of that rookie year, yeah, but with a full off season. Like, how many times have we heard that from these guys? We've heard that a lot. I do like Downs a lot.
All right.
Freeland is not ready to play. Hull is ready to play at a mediocre level. Hull is as good as he's ever going to be. He's not going to develop into anything better than he is, and that's on a scale of 1 to 10. He's like a 5.5. But he's going to be a grinding 5.5 guy. Who, if you're going to be good, you got to replace him.
Third team all mid-conference. He's a scrappy. He wears his Letterman's jacket to the IU football game with patches everywhere. He's all Mick, which, by the way, isn't a slur. There's a conference called the Mick here in Indiana. So before you go nuts on me with, whatever. That's why I use, and I'm just real talent.
Jalen Jones. For a 7th round pick, I think he's pretty good.
All right.
He's kind of like that George Odom type guy.
Okay.
Instead of like Jones is a corner instead of Odom being a safety.
That's solid.
But I like George Odom.
If you like him, I like him.
So, but Witt is hurt, the 7th rounder. Yeah. Not Ray Witt. This is Jake Witt. That's an entirely different thing.
Hours on that.
And then, you've got Brent, who's been hurt. You got some guys who are hurt. And Jelani Woods went on IR yesterday.
Is he done for half the year, right? You can come back from that. They changed the rules a few years ago.
Where you're shut down for 6 games and you can come. I'm not sure.
That's a big loss. Maybe it's not. But, the kid, all he did was score touchdowns, to use the Chris Carter thing.
Yeah.
I thought when he got in the red zone last year, they actually looked for him. I thought he delivered most times. I thought he was athletic. I thought he was big. I don't know. Maybe Mo Alley Cox is the man and Ogletree, but I thought Jelani Woods would be the starter. I thought it was a big deal.
You know something interesting? I read this. This is a Warren Sharp. You like Warren
I
Sharp.
love Warren Sharp.
The Colts were 31st in the NFL last year in red zone touchdowns. You know how many they scored? Red zone touchdowns. Or, outside the red zone.
No.
They scored this many touchdowns. 3 outside the red zone. Outside the 20, they were so explosive that they scored 1 touchdown every 5 games from outside the 20. That's got to change.
That's why I've bitched for years about real talent.
Right.
Speed.
Talent gets you into the end zone.
Willie Gault got you in the end zone from 80 if you need it.
Yeah.
And this is why I've said, and I'll take all the shit. People get mad at me. You're screwed. You don't know football. But I've said this forever. You got to make every sport. You need some dudes that make the game easy for you. Because the other team has guys that are going to make the game easy for them.
Yep.
They just do. And again, it goes back to Jonathan Taylor. Jonathan Taylor has a different value for the Colts than he would if he was on the Kansas City Chiefs or even the Eagles or any team that has a great quarterback. So I'm not so sure that I wouldn't pay Jonathan Taylor I wouldn't overpay him. I wouldn't lose my mind. But there isn't anybody on the Colts right now that makes the game easy offensively. There isn't. Like, who? I always thought Nyheim Hines was underused. Over-talked about.
Yes.
And underused.
Yeah, for sure.
Because you swing it to him, you can give it to him. Remember Nyheim Hines? They'd give it to him inside the tackles in the goal line. And
right.
You got to use real talent. You just do. Real talent, in my opinion, is speed in the NFL.
Ballard continues to value on the outside guys who are not going to bust. Like Michael Pittman Jr. is not going to be a bust.
He's a nice player.
He's going to be,
He's a nice player.
On a scale of 1 to 10, he isn't going to be a 2 or an 8.
No.
He's going to be a 4 or 6.
Yeah,
That's who he is.
Yeah.
That's what they do.
Yeah. And, again.
And Pierce, same thing.
Same thing.
He's not Tyreek Hill, where you take a chance. And I think he was a 5th round pick, right?
Third.
Was he third?
I think he was third, Pierce, yeah.
Pierce was second, but
Pierce
Hill.
was second. Oh, Hill. Oh, yeah. I'm sorry.
Take a shot, because maybe you got some behavioral wobbles.
Yeah.
But the guy's crazy dynamic. Let's take a shot, see if we can grow the kid up. He's fast, he's shifty. Let's get some of those guys, and maybe they did with Josh Downs. But if they don't, they've got no chance. You can't ground and pound your way to a winning record. You just can't.
You could in our day.
Right.
That's a long day ago. In 2005, I was just talking to him on my morning show on Outkick. I was talking to Sean Alexander. Did you know that in 2005, Sean Alexander was the MVP of the NFL as a running back? Now think about that.
He's one of those cautionary guys where I don't know whether he earned to his potential for the brief window of excellence he provided. You know what I mean?
Tell you what, I looked him up. He was pretty good. And I'll tell you this, the Seahawks did a little bit with Sean Alexander what Irsay did with Luck. They gave him a big deal after his best performances.
Did they really?
He told me, he goes, look, I always respect them. They paid me nothing. They didn't want to pay me nothing. They wouldn't pay me nothing. And then I was the MVP and we went to the Super Bowl and all this. And next thing you know, they're like, you know what? We owe you. I'm like, really? He goes, yep. He goes, but 2005, a running back. So it's not, it's 18 years. So it's long enough. I get it. I do.
Right.
But at least but now, again, you could plug me or you in to the backfield of Kansas City, but you better have somebody here that can make. God dang, there were guys. Reggie Wayne, it bothers me, and I'm gonna tell you why. Reggie Wayne's out doing appearances. Yeah, Reggie Wayne is like, meet me at the store, and Reggie Wayne. Could you imagine Bill Belichick? Assistants. Could you imagine? Hey, Coach Knight, I got an appearance here at. You got what? Yeah. Reggie Wayne's doing appearances. There were 5 touchdowns last year out of his room. There were, I think, 10 players that had more touchdowns individually than his room. The wide receiver room.
Yeah.
Individuals had more touchdowns in the entire. Yeah. Get your ass in there and coach these guys up.
It's so interesting, though, because with football, you can't tell where to assign the blame.
Right.
Was it the receivers,
right,
or was it Matt Ragarn Ryan, or
Sam Ellinger?
Yeah,
I know.
It was their bad performance. Was that because the offensive line wasn't very good?
No, you're right.
You just can't. And football's beautiful that way. You can assign blame and credit, certainly in baseball, and to a lesser extent in basketball. But in football, it's really, really hard.
It is hard. I agree. I totally get that. I totally understand that. And I've taken the easy way out of assigning the blame to Reggie Wayne and his. But we blame coaches for everything.
Yeah, we do.
And I was a former coach.
So don't be that guy. Don't run out and make it easy for people to point at you and say, hey, why aren't you doing your job? How often did Clyde Christensen or Tom Moore or Tierlink go out and do? They're not Hall of Fame players, but they weren't out doing appearances. Tom Moore is still grinding down in Tampa Bay running that offense.
I don't know. I'm sure Reggie Wayne is not the first. Okay? Great player, coaching in his hometown to put out appearances, but I don't know of another. I'm just telling you, I don't know of another on a coaching staff that would be about that. I honestly don't know who that would be. I'm not saying it's not happened, but I don't know who it would be.
And if you had made Reggie money, wouldn't you have something better to do with your time than I got to go to a village pantry and sign bottles of pop? You know, what are we doing? Why? Who's my agent? Get me a new agent immediately.
Anthony Leo will be there with me. The ninth stringer at IU. Come meet me, Reggie Wayne, and Anthony Leo, and get an autographed IU's poster and an autographed Reggie Wayne picture. Come on. Come on, man. I think Jared Odell's going to be there, too, so that we cover it all. Like, come on, Reggie. A little self-respect, man.
Yeah, I mean,
let's go. All right, but at the bottom line, okay, let's say that it's not. All right, let's go through it. Cuts are made. Everything's okay. All right. What would be, in your opinion, I think I know the answer, is let's just say you're going to watch a specific position in the game, first game. What position are you watching?
Oh, I'm going to watch Bernard Ryman.
Offensive
I'm going to watch
line.
a left tackle.
Okay.
Yeah, I'm going to watch he and Nelson and Kelly.
All right.
And see if they can get enough push to make that running game a little bit more dynamic. Rick told me they're blocking it differently, and he likes that. They're not going just straight up. When they run little counters, they're pulling Ryan Kelly to go get the linebacker instead of Nelson doing that. They're doing some smart things tactically that maybe work out a little bit better.
See, I was going to say the offensive line. I swore you were going to say the defensive backfield. I thought you were going to say the defensive backfield.
Yeah.
I thought that would be your go-to.
And holy cow, hopefully we don't have a reason to notice those guys as much as I think we're going to have a reason to notice, like DJ Baker and Dallas Flowers, and God help us. Yeah, nice people. Dallas Flowers is a nice person, but like undrafted free agent. You got a lot of undrafted free agents, and then a 7th rounder and a broke 2nd rounder. How the hell is that going to work for you at cornerback? And the safeties you got, this bothers me about Chris Ballard, and I haven't thought about it until this. He was talking about Nick Cross. And he goes, well, it wasn't Nick Cross's fault that we drafted him when he was 20.
Okay.
Well, why are you drafting 20-year-olds? Whose fault is it? What? Okay, it's not Nick Cross's fault that he couldn't play dead last year. Nobody could trust him to do anything. Whose fault is it? And why does that guy still have a job? I almost jumped out of my chair.
You're preaching to the choir. Yeah, and remember, Nick Cross was the guy last year. Oh,
yeah.
On the board.
That's what.
He's the poster child for on the board.
Ballard apologized. I was so excited for him and excited that we got him because of his potential. I build his expectations too high with you and with fans. Well, yeah, shut up. You did it.
How many, I apologize, I was wrong, I did. How many do you get in the NFL? I mean, how many do you get? I don't want anybody to lose their job. Ballard's got a family, seems like a good dude with a family, but I'm just tired of it. It's exhausting.
Win. And you know what? I was thinking about this with Tom Allen. Tom Allen, of course, the head coach of Indiana, and they're going to play Ohio State on Saturday. Runs around with a bullhorn at practice. There's an article at HeraldTimes.com about this magic bullhorn and about LEO and all this other stuff. And I've seen the bullhorn, the megaphone, when it's in use, and the things that he says, and it's LEO a lot. You know what? That's eccentric if Indiana wins.
Yes!
If Indiana goes 3-9 again, he's crackers. He's deranged. You know what I mean?
Yes.
It's the same thing with Ballard. Stop apologizing for all this nonsense. Stop declaring your love for your players and win some damn games, and then do the love business.
They won 4 games. That's the only thing.
Yeah.
I just saw that pop up as a message on our chat here. They won 4 games. That's all you and I have said. I've said it for years. Look, I don't give a shit about salary cap. I don't give a damn about LEO. I don't care that 2 years ago, using Tom Allen, players were jumping, rubbing his head. You know what they are tomorrow or Saturday? 30-point underdogs at home against a team that didn't know who their starting quarterback was until yesterday. Now, it is Ohio State, but if you told me a couple years ago when Indiana had whatever they were, 6-2 and beat Michigan, did they beat Ohio State that year? No chance. All right, and beat Michigan. If you'd have told me, because everybody was saying this program's on the rise.
Yeah.
Hey, look, it's not, you're 30-point underdog at home in the opener.
Yeah.
And the Colts, same thing. I don't give a shit about salary cap. I don't care about draft choices. I've said this forever. The only thing I care, and you don't care either. You don't care either, fans, because when you walk out of Lucas Oil Stadium, you're saying, oh, man, we won. It's great. Screw the Eagles. We're bad. Or you're like, this program sucks. We've lost 5 games. You're not talking about, Quentin Nelson's going to make the Pro Bowl. That was a great draft choice when you lost 5 games at home last year. Nobody said that shit. It is simply about winning. Don't apologize. Never complain. Never explain. Just fucking win.
Okay, and here's the thing that Tom Allen said the other day with the media that my head almost exploded. He goes, hey, our guys are ready for this test. They want to be tested by the best.
Oh.
How about this? How about welcome people into Memorial Stadium and provide them a test? How about being the test that determine other teams whether they're worth a shit or not? How about being that program? Oh, we love being tested. My ass.
Right.
I am really mad.
Oh, I don't blame you. Mad now. I can see it. And again, is that
when I start leaning in, it's no good.
And these chairs are pretty solid, but I don't know. We got some size on us. But, I'm so with you on that because I'm so tired. And again, it goes back to
Indiana accommodates
mediocrity.
And the rest of the Big Ten.
Oh, yeah.
It's like, we're a doormat, okay.
If you can't find the mark at the table, you might be the mark. But it's even deeper this year because everybody told me this program's on the rise. The 2 idiots that covered them for the Indy Star said last year, Indiana is back, don't question it.
Yeah.
I'm like, how fucking stupid are you 2 idiots? Ken Sterling and I've been watching this stuff. Paulie Baldwin and I've been, my brother and I've been watching this stuff since the 70s. Indiana ain't never back. But these 2 idiots in the Star, that was the headline. Of course, they came back, well, we might have been wrong. No, you might not have been wrong. You were right. You're idiots. And you showed you're idiots because, god dang, Indiana football is never back.
No.
Never.
No.
6-2, they're back. Wait, hold time. Did Michigan leave the conference? Did Ohio State leave? Is Penn State gone? Iowa seems to be. No.
Somehow they beat Michigan State last year. And
that guy's a train. I don't know if you saw that idiot. Even Michigan State fans want him gone. He couldn't describe what the direction of his own program was, this Mel Tucker. And even the most loyal Michigan State media are like, hey, I don't know what the fuck's going on here.
I never evaluate the opposing coach during a game, ever. I'm too busy worrying about our guy and our team. But last year I was like, wait a minute. That's not good. That doesn't make a lot of sense.
Mel Tucker is the dumbest. Every Bears fan will tell you. I know Bears fans hate, and they love and then they hate, and everything goes bad. But everybody, when they hired Mel Tucker, I think at college, they're like, thank God, get him out of here. We never want to see that guy. But, okay. And it's becoming, and this is what sucks, it's becoming the same thing with the Colts. I mean, what was it? The winningest team of all 2 decades or whatever in the 90s and 80s and centuries. And now you're like, hey, remember that 10-6? That was a great year.
Yeah.
We couldn't beat,
They love talking about the aughts, the 2000s, and they love talking about 5 years from now. That's what you hear a lot. Hey, 2 Super Bowls. 2 Super Bowls this decade. That's just crazy.
And I'm going to say something else on the other side, and I want your reaction. I don't care if the Colts have the worst roster in the league. I don't. Just win. I don't care. You can rank them lowest. We can sit here and bitch. Let me tell you something. If they win against Jacksonville on that Monday, we're going to be talking well about it.
And they're going to win.
I agree.
They will beat the Jaguars. I'm telling you that right now.
I'm taking the Colts and the points because, and I'm not 100% they're going to win, But I do this every year, Kent. Every year I'm like, you can't lose every year. You can't lose. Terrell Pryor is like, I don't know where he is. But
we know where he was in 2013.
Yeah, he was whooping the Colts' ass. You can't do this every year. You've got to, the law says you got to win one.
My dad always said, if you go to the casino, here's the way you can't lose. You just keep doubling your bet. Like, you go to the roulette table, it ain't going to come up black a million times in a row. At some point, you're going to you keep dumping doubles on black, and you're going to wind up leaving the casino. And I was like, Dad, how come more people don't do this? It's like, yeah, I don't know.
You know what I do at the casino?
What doesn't work?
You know what I do at the casino?
What?
And I've always won. I walked out one time of a casino not winning doing this. I sit there, I grab a drink. And the Park MGM is the greatest place to do this because the bar is right in the middle of the casino and the roulette table's right there. I do this. When it gets to 3 in a row of one color, I start looking.
Yeah.
If it gets to 5, I 1,000% go over there and bet it. 4, I'll bet it. But if it gets to 4 or 5, I'll bet the living hell out of that number, the opposite number, meaning red's coming up.
Right.
And I'm telling you, only one time, and I probably started this a couple years ago in Reno with Benetti. I think one time in my existence did I not walk out of there with more money. One time, because of what your dad said.
Yeah.
And I wouldn't do it for 2. I wouldn't do it for 3. It had to be 3. I start looking. If it gets to 4, I'll walk over there and bet. If it gets to 5, I'm betting my kids.
And it's a manageable way to, like, gamble some.
So,
right?
Yeah, you're not losing your money. No.
You're betting 5
like
hands at once.
Craps, I'm just throwing shit on the table.
Right.
I'm yelling. I'm doing all this
stuff.
stuff.
That's a crazy, dangerous game. You lose a big stack in a very short period of time.
All right, 6.5. I'm asking you every week. 6.5 is the number, the over-under number.
I'll take the under.
Take it all day? Feel good about it?
Unless unless that relationship is somehow fused back together. I don't see them being dynamic enough on either side of the ball to be anything other than a doormat.
I meant to look this up.
I hate saying that.
No, I do too. I meant to look this up, and I didn't. I apologize. But I wanted to get your take on Indiana over and under, and I'm sure the people out there have it. I team wins. Here we go. I don't have it. I should have it, but I do not. I'm sure it's like, what would you make the Indiana over under?
3.5.
That's what I was going to say.
Yeah.
I bet it is. I bet it. Let me ask you then, which way would you go?
I'd go under. Oh, man. Well, God.
That's 4.
Akron
Purdue's 5.5.
Really
Do you know anything about Hudson Card is supposed to be good?
Yeah, I don't know. I have no idea.
No. Indiana, Ball State's 4.5. Do we believe in Mike Newton?
Yeah, I like that.
I do too.
I like the way Ball State's doing business. I love Michael as a basketball coach. Yeah. I love the staff. Got a nice staff. I love Ben Botts as a member of the staff. I like the way Ball State's doing stuff. I think Michael was the right hire.
Indiana is 3.5. That's the number, but they don't buy it. They don't believe it because it's minus 45% juice. It's minus 141. You got to bet 145, not 41. You got to bet $145 to win 100. The under pays you out at plus money, plus 125.
I think it's 3. Like Indiana State, Akron, maybe Rutgers. They're going to find a way to win one Big Ten game, but I think the rest.
Is that right?
Yeah, but I don't know. I mean, who knows? They got like 78 transfers coming in. They've got all these new guys. They might all sync together, and the LEO might, catch fire again. Who the hell knows? I'll watch on Saturday, and I'm hoping they win.
Me too. We do have to say, because I knew the man fairly well. He helped me get a couple jobs. Gil Brandt passed away at 91
very
years
sad.
old. Gil Brandt,
really smart guy.
Really smart. Involved in everything. Gil Brandt was the first guy, along with Tex Schramm, when he was with the Cowboys. They started the shotgun. They started using computers. They started doing all that stuff. And Gil Brandt might have been, and I know Eddie White, I was going to text Eddie because Eddie's a good friend of his. Gil Brandt might have been the most innovative, connected guy in all of sports, non-athlete division. He was unbelievable. And if you want to do something interesting and somebody maybe you never heard of, just read about Gil Brandt and you'll find out this dude was something.
Now, I'll tell you that when the Colts let Grigson go and hired Ballard, I called Gil and had him on my show on 1430, and he backed Ballard like 1,000,000,000%. He loved Chris Ballard.
Yeah. Well,
so and I'd have him on periodically. I really liked him as a guest. I loved Sonny Vaccaro as a guest. I just thought that Sonny was kind of old, cranky, and honest, and that made for great radio.
Yeah, Gil was like, if Gil would call me and goes, hey, this job's open, you want it?
Really?
Oh, yeah. Mm-hmm. Yeah, get your ducks in a row. I got something coming up down the pike for you. That's really not how I got involved with being the head coach at Marshall. And then it was like Southern Miss. I could have had that. There was a bunch of them that Gil was like, yeah, I'll get you. And next thing you know, I'm like, yeah, guy would call. The AD or the president would call. Yeah, I mean, Gil was that connected. And that's basketball, college basketball. Wow. He'd always say, Dan, make sure he would talk like you make sure you got your ducks in a row. You get your ducks in a row. Win a few of them balls. All of a sudden, Kansas State's calling me and all these different places. Yeah, it was. Gil was really good to me, and Gil was really good to a lot of people.
He continued to be relevant for a very long time. I mean, he was
Combine here. He was always with the number one draft picks.
Yeah,
he was always walking the number one draft pick in. He was always. Everybody in the NFL, I believe this to be true. He's the one guy I believe in the NFL, maybe not when he was, with the Cowboys, but he's the one guy later in life that everybody in the NFL trusted.
Yeah.
Everybody trusted Gil Brandt. Like, hey, look, I trust that man. That man is going to do us right. He's honest. He's sincere. And do yourself a favor. Read about him.
He seemed to be, and you tell me if I'm right or wrong, he seemed to be connected without trying to be connected.
Just a guy everybody gravitated to because he was an innovator. He put all that shit together. You know, when the Cowboys, before they went set, they all stood up and then they came down.
Yeah,
there was a reason for that. The shotgun, there was a reason for that. The first real speedster, Bob Hayes, he signed that guy, because the value of speed that, we all talk about now, he understood beforehand. Computers, I don't even know. I guess Texas Instruments was down there during the time and developing stuff, and he had those. He showed me one time printout. It was one of those, that folding over the top. It was like this tall, and if you unfolded it, it'd be from like here to your house. You know what I mean? It's one of those deals. But yeah, that's too bad. Younger people. Hey, look, life moves on.
I knew he wasn't well.
Yeah. Yeah, and that's sad. All right, I got a couple more things for you. You ready?
Yeah.
If I were going to say to you, this guy, in 2 weeks after the Colts game, we're going to be talking about him, and he's not Anthony Richardson.
Josh Downs.
That's what I knew you were going to say that.
Yeah.
He's a guy that potentially could
positively.
be
That
no, positive.
We're going to talk about
No. Positive.
Negatively, I got some other thoughts. But positively, I think it's going to be Josh Downs, and a good second place for that is Ryman. I think people are going to see that Ryman has really moved forward from year one to year two, and he's going to be a guy that will validate. That was the third round. What was he, 77th? That's a good pick by Chris Ballard. Because
people have hit me with this, and I wasn't there. I think you were for both. Well, you weren't there for the Eagles. But people tell me that the Colts and the Bears were fairly similar. In fact, Rick told me this. But when you compare the Colts and the Bears similar in terms of talent, but the Eagles were like the varsity and the Bears were JV, that kind of thing. Would you agree with that?
Yeah, 100%. That
matters to me.
If you got A.J. Brown, and
you got Devontae Smith.
Yeah, that's a difference maker. Yeah. You got bookend wide receivers.
But who did we just talk about? Wide receivers.
Yeah,
that's the first thing that came to your mind, or at least is what you said. Maybe something else came. We didn't talk about Jalen Hurts. We didn't talk about the tight end or the center Kels. We didn't talk about Goddard the time. We talked about freaking A.J. Brown, wide receiver, game breaker, and we talked about Devontae Smith, wide receiver, game breaker. And you know what we're talking about? A Super Bowl team with Jalen Hurts as a quarterback.
Yep. That's what we got. And that's what we see year in and year out. And there's another Warren Sharp. The top 8 teams in terms of explosive offense, which means I think the plays of 15 yards or greater. The top 8 all went to the playoffs. Of the bottom 8, only 1 went to the playoffs. If you're explosive, you win. Explosive plays are like turnovers. They're as important as turnovers, but in the other direction.
That's why, I just have been beating this. That's why Ben Bannigu gets cut. And
I was so waiting for them to sign him.
Really?
I thought, oh my God, are they going to look at Banagoo? You know, it's like, geez, didn't we just get out from under this?
It's sad. All right, last thing. Tell me, Darius, I always say Darius, Shaq Leonard, because I don't talk about him on a daily basis anymore. Shaq Leonard, starting right there, running out of the tunnel, number 53.
He's going to run out of the tunnel. And
as a starter.
I think they're going to play him. He hadn't hit anybody.
Still.
And he's coming off concussion protocol. I don't know how he got concussed because he hadn't hit anybody. He played that preseason game. He had no tackles, and he didn't look like he was looking forward to tackling people. So I don't know what he's doing. I don't know how this works. I think who is talking about they love him, they get emotional when they talk. Oh, Gus Bradley. I get emotional when I talk about Shaq because he wants it so badly. This is not a reason to maintain him as a roster player because he wants it badly and you're hoping for him. Hope is not a strategy. You live in hope, you die in desperation. Just stop it with the hope. Stop being nice people and go win games.
Down with hope, up with dope. You said it very clever. I just said it stupid. Why is he on the roster? I mean, that's unfair. Now, Brian Haas has said that's not fair.
There may be so much money attached to him that's guaranteed still.
But wait a second.
There's a lot of dead.
But you're telling me you don't think he can play?
I don't know if he can play at all.
That's maybe why he's on the roster, because maybe they don't know.
That could be. Maybe, and nerves are weird. Like we saw with Manning. You know, that guy was jacked up. All of a sudden, he's playing in 2 Super Bowls in 4 years. The nerves, sometimes nerves find a way. I guess. Does that sound like I have any medical background at all?
That sounds like that's got to go on a T-shirt. Sometimes nerves find a way. Ken, I think people should subscribe right now. We're going to be keeping count. 220 of you are on here. Thank you.
And for the love of Pete.
Please like.
And get us to 5,000.
Yeah, get us to 5,000. Shaw needs some stem cells. Who's Shaw? Who am I missing?
I don't know.
Shaq, he said, needs some stem cells. All right.
That makes, because of, is that a Luck reference?
Yeah,
didn't Luck have that kind of therapy?
Yeah. All right, like and subscribe, Sean Black.
What did you want to ask me about media?
I forgot.
You did?
I've been thinking about it, and I did, and I completely.
That's really funny.
I did. I came out of the bathroom, and I'm like, "Hey, Ken, I want to ask you something about a media question that I saw, and I'm going to text it to you. Probably.
Did it have to do with Sage? Because Sage was on your show.
Sage was on my show. Sage was awesome.
Of course.
It was not about Sage, and I don't know what it was about, but it intrigued me, and I waited. I should have talked to you off air because you would have been able to remind me, but in my old age, I can't remember.
All right, well, we'll get at it sometime. Media questions are kind of evergreen.
You educate the media on this. You do. You educate people on what's down in the media, but I can't remember what I was going to ask.
This place, this market, Indianapolis, is so upside down that I got to think that people within the media here think I'm some kind of idiot.
Why?
Because they're wrong.
Oh, yeah.
Like they do things backwards at such an odd level.
Can you give me an example?
I can. When you open a show by talking about what you had for dinner.
Oh.
During training camp, you're talking about dinner and you're talking about talking to somebody and how much fun you and your wife had someplace, or you and a girl. Like that's deranged. It makes no sense. But it happens so often that I think somebody's actually teaching people this, and they've decided that it's the correct way to go about your job. What do you do when you come out? Do you lead strong? Do you talk about what the listeners or viewers believe you're going to talk about? Or do you talk about dinner?
The most important segment that you can possibly do, including our show, is the beginning.
Right.
And if you notice on our show, there's no bullshitting around about, hey, Ken, how you doing? I went to go. No. You come out, you come strong, and you go, period. And if you're doing anything other than that, then guess what? It's wrong.
You're showing disrespect for your audience. The audience expects you to talk about X, deliver what they want. When you go to a restaurant and you go to a pizza place, and people walk up even before you order and say, I know you came in for pizza, But here's some beef stroganoff that I think you're going to enjoy. Ruminate over that for 10 minutes, and then I'm going to come take your order. Well, it's
ridiculous.
It is utterly.
It's idiotic.
And the overuse of adverbs, for the love of God, and I just did it. Please, nobody in media say literally anymore. And if you listen to Indianapolis Sports Talk Radio, do not take that as the way you're supposed to behave as far as the use of the word literally. It's meaningless.
I literally agree with you.
Jeez.
And you know what? I'm going to go have a nice
for quite a while.
I know you could. What else you got?
That's it.
All right. We gave you an hour of great stuff here. Come back. But make sure you subscribe and like. We usually do it on Monday. I don't think we're going to do one Labor Day. I'm out of town.
No, let's
No, I'm here. And my dog is here. And my pit bull is here. And the guns that we have are here. And I'm ready to shoot people if they break in.
And guys talk.
Oh, that
could make an appearance, hit you right in the head. You don't want to get bumped in the head.
Not coming around anymore.